What's up everybody, Superworks fan here from Mustang Weekly Update number 19 on this Friday. So what's new with the Mustang? Well, first, I passed 10,000 miles on it already, which is a lot of driving, and still running great. I still love this thing. And other good news, the miles per gallon has bounced back again. I think, like I mentioned, throughout the winter time with the lower quality gas that they use in the winter, you don't get quite as good a gas mileage, plus your car is warming up a lot and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm up in the mid 25 miles per gallon range in mixed driving. I would say it's a mostly city type driving, not a whole lot of highway cruising, so that's actually pretty good, I think, considering the kind of driving I'm doing. And I don't drive this slowly either, I drive it spiritedly, so I'm really impressed with the fuel economy, and I'm totally happy with it. So those two things are very awesome. I'm still debating on whether or not I'm gonna take off the snow tires just yet, because even though it's gonna be really nice over the next week here and be in the 50s and maybe even 60 degrees, it looks like it's gonna get cold again, and it may snow, might get cold enough, not totally sure. Still kind of iffy about that one, but I really want to get these snow tires off immediately, because with warm weather and snow tires, they just turn into marshmallows and the handling gets even worse. Another update is I bought a new webcam. So it's still only going to be 720p video streaming, but it should be a lot better video quality than it has been in the past. And I'm planning on doing the live stream this Saturday morning. So probably maybe 10 a.m. or so until, I don't know, maybe noon or 1 o'clock, hang out with you guys for a few hours and just talk cars. And so yeah, that's when it's going to be, is 10 a.m. Saturday. Again, if there's any changes or anything, I'll post up on social media about it, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. But that is the plan, is 10 a.m. Saturday morning. I figured I'd switch it up a little bit, maybe hit some different time zones that normally missed out or had to stay up to extremely late times to watch the evening live streams. So I figure Saturday morning, that should work. And so we'll try that out and see how it does. And the last announcement that I want to do real quickly before I head to the news is a really big announcement. It's a really big deal for me and for the channel. And that is that thanks to General Motors, I will be getting my first 2 press cars this month, which is huge. This is what I've been going for the past several years, because, I take a car and review it, and I have, if it's a personal owner's car, I have like 3 or 4 hours tops to review it. If it's a dealership car, I have an entire day, but that still makes it really difficult to get all the shots that I really want to get. And so with press cars, you get them for an entire week. So I'll have a whole week to get really thorough, deep impressions on what it's like, and I'm also going to have lots more time to film lots more, beauty shots and the rolling stuff and all the really nice footage that I like doing. So I am so excited for those. And so I normally don't ask you guys, to give the videos a thumbs up or anything like that, but please, for these upcoming reviews, definitely show your support. I would really appreciate the thumbs up, the comments, and the sharing of the videos as well, because the more well received that they are, the more likely it will be that I'll be able to get more press cars in the future, which just brings more awesome content for you guys, more awesome opportunities for this channel, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited, and hopefully there'll be more press cars from other manufacturers to come soon as well. A lot of them have a 25-year-old age requirement, and I'll be 25 in July. So once I turn 25, hopefully that'll open the doors to a lot of other car manufacturers. But in the meantime, General Motors and a few others don't have those requirements, and I'm working on those other manufacturers as well. But so yeah, and I'm really excited for the 2 cars that I'll be reviewing, and it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, that's it for all the updates though. So I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news. The first thing is, I'm sure many of you have already heard about this, about how Jeremy Clarkson threw a punch at a producer, and now Top Gear has been canceled for the rest of the season. So I'm just going to briefly mention the news about this as a little roundup for those of you that haven't been following the stories. So apparently, after a long day of filming a Top Gear episode, Jeremy Clarkson came back from filming, I guess, and the catering people didn't have the food yet. And apparently, I guess that was the one producer's fault, and Jeremy Clarkson, for some reason, took a swing at the producer, and so they got all pissed, of course, because he threw a punch at the guy, which, I mean, again, is not acceptable or anything, but still, they just decided to completely cancel the rest of the season of Top Gear. There's several episodes that they've already filmed portions of, I think, already, So there's all kinds of footage that's just never going to get used or something. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering it's the #1 show in the UK, I believe. It's obviously BBC's #1 hit show, and I think canning the whole thing over one punch is a little bit of an overreaction. I realize that Jeremy Clarkson's gotten himself into hot water many times before, but I feel like this is a really stupid way to go out with one punch, and they're going to cancel everything. Not only is it going to hurt Jeremy, but it's also hurting Hammond and James May. And James May, actually, someone asked him if he saw anything or whatever happened. He said he was hammered. So Jeremy Clarkson could have been really drunk too. It might just be some stupid drunk punch and that's it. But I don't know. It just sounds really stupid. Really sad though. Hopefully they can come to some kind of agreement and air those last few episodes. But just kind of stinks. I'm sure we'll see either Top Gear or Jeremy Clarkson back in some form at some point. But for those looking forward to the future episodes, you'll be waiting a while. But I mean, it's at least good to see that the fans are supporting him. There's over 700,000 signatures on the petition on change.org to bring Jeremy Clarkson back, and even ITV, which is another TV network in the UK, has offered him, I think, a $15 million contract to come and do a show for them. So, I mean, we'll definitely see some of him somewhere, even if the BBC's dumb and doesn't bring him back. So, back onto the car news for this week. First is the new Bentley Bentayga that's been spied every single week with less and less camouflage on. Now is spied basically completely uncamouflaged. All that's camouflaged are the headlights and the taillights. And obviously those aren't production wheels. And there's some graphics on the side, but it's basically that's it. So that's the new Bentley SUV. Looks about what I would expect a Bentley SUV to look like. And yeah, excited to see the whole thing when it's officially unveiled. Speaking of unveilings, Chevy likes to tease us here. Last week they teased us with the new Malibu, just a little teaser shot, like a silhouette kind of deal. And now it's the new Spark, which is going to be debuting at the New York Auto Show as well on April 2nd, and it'll also be debuting at the Seoul Motor Show as well, which I think going on around the same time. So we already know that Chevy's bringing a new Spark and a new Malibu to New York. I still think that they're going to bring a new Camaro as well. I have no information about that. That's just a hunch that I have. But the timing sounds about right to me. Hopefully we'll see it because I'm very excited to see the new Camaro. Another car that's going to be debuted in New York is the new McLaren Sports Series. McLaren has announced that they're going to be debuting that at the New York Auto Show, and that's the one that's going to be cheaper and compete against the Porsche 911 and the Audi R8 and stuff like that. And it's going to be exciting to see. I mean, it's going to still have a twin-turbo V8, just detuned, but it should be a smaller, lighter car as well. So sounds promising. Keep our fingers crossed that that's every bit as awesome as it's being led on to be. Right, and so remember how Mazda was working with Alfa Romeo on the new Miata, and Mazda, of course, is going to get the Miata, and Alfa Romeo is going to get the Spider. And then there was this whole controversy where they said that an Alfa Romeo shouldn't be built outside of Italy because they were going to plan on building them in Japan right alongside the Miata. It makes sense, just different bodywork, same basic car, but Alfa Romeo didn't want any parts of that, and I can understand that. That's an admirable thing. You want to build your Italian car in Italy, fine. But Fiat doesn't have the same requirements. So even though Alfa Romeo won't get a version of this, Fiat will. And I've been talking about this over the past several months. And so it's official now. It's been confirmed the version that Fiat is going to be getting is going to be called the 124 Spider. And in addition to that, we now know that the agreement was that Mazda was going to release the Miata in 2015, and to not compete, Fiat agreed to not release their car until 2016. So we won't see the Fiat version of the Miata until next year. Another interesting bit of news that we're hearing is that although the Miata only has 155 horsepower and 140 some odd torques, the Fiat is going to have a 1.4 liter turbocharged engine, the same motor that's in the Dodge Dart and the Fiat 500 Abarth. Which is good news, because that motor does 160 horsepower and 183 pounds-feet of torque. So that's like 40 more pounds-feet of torque over a Miata. So for those of you that said, the Miata's nice, but I wish it looked a little bit better, or I wish it was faster, the Fiat version could be the ticket here. And even if it doesn't have, more power from the factory than the Miata, obviously, having the turbocharger already there means you just tune it and you will have the power that you want. So either way, it's a win-win. As much as I love the Miata and I'd love to review one, I think I'm looking forward to the Fiat version even more so now. So very exciting to see that. And for a little bit of speculation here, there's a report saying that Porsche, I guess someone was interviewing a Porsche executive, and they said that they're open to doing a more hardcore version of the Cayman GT4, a GT4 RS model, so to speak. And so they just said it's just going to depend on whether the customers really are demanding that and if they want a more hardcore version. And I think the GT4 is already sick enough as it is, but hey, you want to make a crazier RS version? Be my guest. That sounds like a good idea to me. So hopefully they go ahead with that. Some other news that we've heard over the past week because of different executives talking to different people at the Geneva Motor Show. First, Pagani has said that the Wyra Roadster that I talked about last week that they're going to be building next year, that it's also going to have less weight than the coupe. Normally convertibles are heavier, but in this case, Pagani wants to make the convertible lighter by 100 pounds or more. And they also are going to be adding more power as well. So it's going to have 20 more horsepower, which bumps the total up to 750 horsepower, which is, again, very impressive. It wasn't a slow car to begin with, but hey, 20 more horsepower, nothing to sneeze at. That's awesome. So very cool to see that. And in some other Geneva Motor Show news, Koenigsegg, some people were talking to Koenigsegg, and they said that they would like to do a four-door model before 2020. They said it could be even sooner than 2020, but within the next 5 years they want to do a four-door model. I'm sure it would be a very, very high-performance four-door, nothing slow or anything. And they also said they're planning on doing a camless engine that has no camshaft. And, I mean, sounds pretty crazy, but hey, I mean, the Regera not having a transmission sounds crazy too, but they're making that work. So, very awesome to see that. And last other bit of news here is Aston Martin. People were talking with them at Geneva, and they said some really encouraging stuff for car enthusiasts. They said that they want to stick with their V12 engine, and they want to stick with the manual transmission. So much so that they said it'd be cool if they were the last automaker in the world to be offering a manual transmission. So whenever the automotive apocalypse happens in 2030 or 2050, whenever the autonomous cars take over and no one's driving stick anymore, Aston Martin says they will be there with a manual transmission as one of the transmission options, which is awesome to hear. I mean, obviously, Aston Martin is working with AMG, and they're going to have the new twin-turbo V8 and the new V8 Vantage replacement whenever that comes out. But they said the new DB9 successor that's coming out here this year will have a V12 engine. It's going to be the same engine they've been using before, just, more massaged and a little bit enhanced, and they're still going to have a manual transmission option, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. So, it's great to see that, and that's very encouraging. And another car that was spied this past week is a car that wasn't expected, I don't think, by a lot of people, and that is that Lamborghini has been out testing an Aventador SV Roadster. They've never really done an SV Roadster before, at least in my memory. At least in the past 20 years, they haven't done a Roadster SV, so that's awesome. Very exciting to see that. Of course, it's very easy to do. I mean, considering you just take the same SV parts that you threw on a regular Aventador and you just throw them on a Roadster. Easy enough, but I'm sure it's going to sell like mad, and that's an excellent marketing decision by Lamborghini. So cool to see that. I'm sure we'll probably even see it before the end of the year, considering it's basically ready to go already. And for some Audi news, the first is that one of the Audi executives has said that the new A4 is coming at Frankfurt. So the Frankfurt Motor Show is normally September, and that's when we'll see the new A4. A lot of people are saying it's going to look a lot like the new Audi TT, and there was those TT like sedans that they were like showing all these sketches of and stuff. Well, it's probably going to look a whole lot like that. We have a few spy shots of them running around. It doesn't look entirely dramatic just from the camouflage that's on it, but hopefully it'll be a good car. I mean, the A4 is so outdated at this point. It's been the same car since 2008. Much needed refresh here, so hopefully there'll be an all-new car, and it'll be coming soon. And some other Audi news, they also said that they actually confirmed they're doing an all-electric SUV, and that it's going to be coming here in the next year or two. They said early 2018 is when they want to have it available, so I'd say 3 years. But obviously they're doing this because Tesla has the Model X that they'll be debuting very soon. In other electric car news, everyone wants to get in on the electric car game. Ford, there's a report here saying that they're planning on doing an electric vehicle to compete with the Bolt, which is Chevy's car they showed at Detroit, and the Tesla Model 3, which is the sub $40,000 Tesla car that's coming very soon. Ford says they want their car to be on the market by the end of this year, which is very quick. We haven't seen any kind of camouflage, spy shots of anything, so it's being kept very hush-hush, but apparently they are working on something, and we'll see it before the end of this year, which is pretty crazy, but exciting at the same time. Hopefully it looks better than the C-Max, though. And the last bit of news this week is also Ford news, and that is there's a report here saying that the Ford GT is going to be $400,000, which I think is a lot more than most people were expecting, even though it probably will have Lamborghini Aventador performance or even something that exceeds that. People didn't think it would cost as much as a Lamborghini Aventador, and that is how much it's costing, apparently $400,000. I think the big shock is that the previous Ford GT that came out, 10 years ago, granted, that one was $150,000. So, okay, you figure 10 years, sure, you can maybe $300,000, just double the price even over 10 years' time. Sure, but $400,000 is a little bit more expensive. That's going to be one heck of a performer, but it's really going to have to be one amazing performer to drag people away from their Lamborghinis and Ferraris, because 400 grand buys a lot in the supercar world these days. So, it's going to have the twin turbo V6. They're saying 600 plus horsepower, which all sounds good. So we'll see if it can really be that high performing to grant a $400,000 price tag, but awesome to see that. So yeah, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it back to me in the car. Alright, so a little bit of a rolling acceleration, but I'll do a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. So much fun, and it's so great now, especially now it's getting warmer. I can roll these windows down and you can hear the turbo. It's not super loud, of course, but it is actually noticeable enough that if you don't have the radio on or anything, you can hear the turbo spooling and stuff, and it's really cool. And I'll be doing a mod here that'll accentuate that very soon, so definitely stay tuned for that here, probably the next few days, hopefully. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.